Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 3 of Professional Doppelgamers. My name is Chris Melasinos, and I'm here with my cohort, my compatriot, the man along this journey with me as well, Mr. Larry Herb. Larry, how are you today, buddy?
Chris, good to see you. We spend so much time together virtually, and it's always good to be back on. And I want to thank everybody who's been joining us on this journey. It's great, yourself included, but we're here together. We're going to talk some games, some news, and things you get from this show we are two people that work in the games industry. We're not pundits. We're not people that have been posting on bulletin boards. We did that back in the 90s. We've made careers out of games, so here we are.
That's right. Yes, and not only work in the industry, but have grown up with a love and a passion for video games and technology. And so we have this nice, as we talked about, 50 plus years collectively of continuum in the games industry.
Probably even more than that. My Lord.
I know, but let's just keep it to the 50.
Keep it at 50.
I know. When I started telling somebody about how long I'd been working professionally in the games industry, then they framed it and said, that's a quarter of a century. And I went, you need to shut your face.
Yeah, same thing. That's exactly. I know exactly what that's like. So I feel your pain.
That's right.
So.
Anyway, it's great to see you. And it was we were talking about before we started recording here. Yeah. We are now ripping through to the end of the summer. You were mentioning.
No. I'm holding on as long as I can. I've got my linen shirt on. It's great outside. I'm just enjoying summer in Seattle. Is glorious.
Yeah, but for me, once it starts getting dark, I'm like, I can't go out and do that yard work. I have to be inside working on my hobbies, working on projects, and playing video games.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
Yeah, same with me. I've got a lot of nerd projects we're working on. We'll talk about those a little bit later as well. But so here we are. We're back.
Let's go. All right. So jumping into our last conversation we had, we know that you had a bit of an upgrade going on. We're going to jump in and talk about just how things are going on in our lives. And you had an upgraded home regarding some fiber connectivity.
Oh yeah. So I got, when did we, I guess I got that installed. Did we get it installed? But it's been a while since we talked, but yeah, I'm now on, in the Northwest, there's this company called Ziply Fiber. And let me tell you the story. We've lived in this house for about 20 years, and Verizon used to be in the Seattle market. And they were doing Fios. I don't even know. Is that still a thing out back east?
I do. I spent 7.5 years working corporate strategy at Verizon. So yes, it was a thing. And it still is a thing. Yes.
They were coming down and they were coming down the street, Chris. They stopped 7 houses short of mine, and they pulled out of the market. This was like probably 15 years ago.
So they got my email then. I was like, hey,
thanks, by the way. Thanks for that. Right so they finally, they yanked out of the market. And then another company, Ziply, came in and picked up apparently, I think they picked up the infrastructure, and they started laying, and they finally came down my street, and I'm the first person on it. And I am enjoying glorious 1.2 gigabit down and 1.2 gigabit up. Oof. And I will tell you right now that, the installer was lovely, was backing out of the driveway, and I was on the phone with Comcast saying I'm out. But it's been glorious. I mean, of course my wife and my daughter don't notice or care, but I'm as a nerd, I'm into it.
Yeah, especially when you're just like, nothing is slowing down. Everybody watch as much stuff as you want. Crank as much stuff as you need.
I'm uploading files as fast as you want. I mean, in fact, I had to upload a large video file for another project, and I started the upload, and then did I upload that? And I go back to the tab, and it's gone. And I was like, yeah, I did. It was that fast. So it was anyway. So I'm finally just in time for 2026. I'm now finally on fiber. Thank you for asking.
No worries. And it's so funny about that, right? So yeah, we take for granted the fact we have this super fast connectivity now. We just basically click a button, stuff gets thrown up there, stuff gets pulled down, right? But the stuff that I've been going back and experimenting with is, what was it like using BBSs with 56K modems? Not 56K, 9600 baud, 2400 baud, 1200 baud modems.
Yeah.
And there's all these groups out there that actually
300.
set up. Yeah. Yes, which
150.
Yeah, well, 150.
Put the receiver into the acoustic coupler. Yeah,
exactly right. So the band Information Society, they had a song. I think it was called 2400 N81, which are the settings for a modem.
Right.
Shut off parity and all this other stuff. And when you would play the song, if you basically connected the phone to that coupler and then to your computer, and you held the phone up to the speaker while it was playing the song. Embedded in the song basically are these tones that would then print out on your screen the history of the Information Society, right? So this is straight analog to digital stuff. So I did stumble upon this video of somebody who is made a cable box to go ahead and relive kind of what it was like in the 90s. And so he's sourcing all this material and everything. He wrote all these scripts, and literally you flip through channels on the cable box, and he has it set up where it's like, oh, if a sports program was being shown, it'll show a beer commercial, but it'll flag the beer commercial to not show during like an Animaniacs episode.
So
I did
something very similar about 10 years ago when Justin TV was coming online, which became Twitch TV.
Right.
I found this. Remember back in the 80s and the 90s, the Weather Channel?
Oh yeah.
And they would take a break and they would say, here's your local weather. And it would just be scrolling ASCII, just text of what's going on. Well, somebody found that code and released it on the internet, and I was running it onto my Twitch channel of just with the music in the background and the scrolling and the map, and in your local region, it's this, and it was kind of cool. I enjoyed it. But it's interesting we talk about this because one of the pieces of news that has come out over the past couple of days is that AOL is exiting the dial-up business.
Yeah.
Right. So that's just to bring it back to that.
Yeah. So, and bring it even further back and back to the Verizon. We're going to close this loop. See, that's what we do because there's so much history that we have here. So when I was at Verizon, I actually worked on the team that acquired AOL.
Oh boy.
Now, back in 2001, when I was at Sun Microsystems, we were helping Atari to deliver Java games, right? Java versions of Asteroids and Missile Command, all these things. And
classics.
What site did it live on? Games.com. Games.com got acquired by AOL through a bunch of different things. In 2010, I had left Sun Microsystems and was off, taking a little time off to spend with the family and everything. And I was offered a job to go run Games.com out of New York. But I couldn't be in New York and be at the Smithsonian doing the art of video games and writing a book and expect to come home and have a family. Right. So
it's too much.
So I took a brief step outside of the game space and led marketing and stuff for a company called VeriSign. And so AOL and Games.com are off the table. Flash forward a bunch of years later, there I am at Verizon. Now I'm acquiring Games.com and AOL into the company to go ahead and stand up.
I just looked at
Games.com
Games.com is still sitting on AOL.com.
It sure is.
So they still got it.
It sure is. And so they are shutting down dial-up. Like this is the end of that era. And where I live in Northern Virginia, the headquarters for AOL, which,
was Reston, right?
It was Ashburn, Virginia. And I passed by the old office, which has now been torn down to build what? Data centers. Right, which is kind of sad.
Coming back around again.
I know. Nothing is new under the sun, but
those were the days. I mean, it was, Mom, don't pick up the phone. And all of that stuff. So, but we are now. So we were now. I'm just in time for that to end. I'm now on to fiber. So it's my how we've progressed.
That's right. My we have progressed for sure. And then on top of that, you were doing stuff with the like NASs in the home and things like that. How's all that working out for you?
Yeah, it's funny because what I did was, did I share it last week? I'm trying to find out. Let me see if I've got it here. I run a home server called it's called Unraid, which is, if you don't know what that is, you've heard of Synology and QNAP and some of these other NASs, the network addressable storage. And what this is Unraid, and I've been on their podcast a couple times. They are, and I'm trying to log into my server. It's basically take any old PC you have, strip it down to the middle, load the Unraid OS on, which is very lightweight, runs from a USB, so it boots from the USB stick, and essentially runs all resident in memory. And you can load on a bunch of different things. I've got my Plex server on it with all the movies that I've ripped. I've got, it does some home networking things in terms of like monitoring some of my smart home stuff. But one of the things that I put on here, and I'm going to see if I can share this out with you, is how can I share this out? Let me, so what I put on there, Chris, was was a speed test because
Okay.
I'm a nerd.
Yeah.
And what it does is here, can I share the screen here? I'll share the screen.
Yeah,
I don't
let's
know
see
if
if
it's,
we, yeah.
so this is what
Oh,
it looks like.
yeah.
And can you see that?
Actually, I can't because I need to populate it into another
Oh,
window.
never mind,
But
never
here's
mind,
what
never
we'll do.
mind.
I will make sure that for the next episode, we have it set up so we can actually go to a separate scene
Yep.
and go ahead and see this. But I can see what you're showing me here.
Yeah, so anyway, what it does is my server just obviously it sits on my network, and I can set it up every hour, every 15 minutes, every 3 hours, 6 hours, every day. It runs a speed test, and it's kind of ridiculous because I'm seeing like 950 down, 950 up,
3 milliseconds of ping.
Right. And the ping. So anyway, that's part of what I do. So I've got my home server is sitting here in my house running a bunch of stuff. I've got about 10 to 12 terabytes of storage online. And when I built this, my goal was two things: low power, low heat, because those are two things that are just deadly for electronics. And I got this. I'm running a little Intel Core i3, and it just chugs along, and it's sitting here at 72 Fahrenheit. It sits in my garage, so it's a little warm in the garage, but it's great. So yeah, so I'm a nerd when it comes to that stuff.
Nice. Yeah,
I can show you how to build yours too, Chris.
Yeah, I have I have a Synology, and then I have another one called Retro NAS, which is it is another, loaded onto a Raspberry Pi type of NAS. But what you can also do is you can set up directories for your retro games. So
I've got that on here as well.
Drive. And so I have those kind of separate from each other, so I can, back up and do different things with it. And then if I bork something on one NAS, I'm not, messing up the other one, right? All the important stuff. But yes, and it's just keeping track of all of this information. The problem with NAS is, though, and I'm sure you've experienced this too, it's like, oh, why delete it? I'll just save it. Just save it. How many photos? How many,
how much stuff?
Yeah, I know.
How much digital stuff do you need?
Exactly. Digital crud that we have to keep track. But every once in a while, we're able to surface a gem that we thought we lost. Yeah. And so it makes it worth it. Absolutely makes it worth it. That's awesome. I've been online with my server for probably like 2 years. I used it. I talked about it on the Xbox podcast when I was over at Microsoft. I built it, and some of the local kids in the neighborhood wanted to learn how to build PCs, and that's all it is PC. So I just showed them. I'm like, okay, we're gonna order this, and this is the memory, and this is the CPU, and here's how you put the paste on. Here's how you put it down. Here. So anyway, I kind of did a little in my garage over the course of a week or two. We kind of did a little tutorial for them. So, that's awesome. Well, now we can just turn them on to, what is it? PC building simulator on Steam, and there you go, and you have all that stuff there.
I want to do the real thing, but here we are.
Yeah, I'm with you. Any other? So tell me, like, as you're wrapping up for this summer, any other hobbies you're working on, or?
Well, I'll tell you. I teased this before we started recording. I've never had this happen to me before, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
I got into a very heated argument with ChatGPT. It would not do what I was like. They flipped it over to the GPT-5, and it was terrible. I'm like, why aren't you doing what I need you to do? Here's the document. I need you to format it. And then I come back 10 minutes later. I'm like, did you format it? Oh, you wanted me to format it. Is this what you want? Yes. Nothing. So we just went round and round and round. I need to put it. I posted this on Twitter. I need to put it on a performance improvement plan.
I was going to say, right?
It needs a pip.
It's just like one of your kids, It's
like, what are you doing?
Did you do this?
You said you're going to do it, and you're not doing it. So so that's been fun. Other than that, one of the things I posted this also a couple weeks ago is because of when I was at Microsoft and Xbox, I did a lot of traveling, and I have this bizarre collection of travel routers. Which, when you're traveling, you go to the hotel, or you go someplace, you plug it in, and all your devices. Anyway, so GLINet is one company that I use a lot of their stuff. They reached out to me and sent me one of their new devices, so I'll be taking a look at that, and I'll share more details in a future show. But it's travel routers. Another one of my. I was like, why do I have all these? I have a problem.
Well, I don't bring enough equipment with me to require multiple routers when I'm
really
traveling. No, I really don't, because it's always just multiple game systems I wind up bringing with me.
And which needs some of them need to get online.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, that's true. See, I'm not a huge online gamer because of time. Just time,
Right.
But the thing that I've been leaning into, really back into, is 3D printing and doing all kinds of cool little.
So I can send you some things to print for me.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I got my little, I got my little posable stormtrooper that I printed here. But right now, and I'm monitoring on a separate window, I'm printing a 3.5 foot by 2 foot Star Destroyer. And all these modular pieces and all be lit up and everything else and doing all that kind of stuff. So,
well, that's cool.
Yeah. So back, doing all of that kind of stuff. And the coolest thing that I'm working on right now, somebody had on a website called Maker World, had created a Donkey Kong piece of art. And so all the components and pieces are all 3D printed, and then you glue them down on plexiglass. You even 3D print the full frame and everything else. And it's a full 3D printed scene from the first board of Donkey Kong. And it's hanging in my office. My wife's like, wow, that actually is really, really cool. But it looks just kind of alone there. What are you doing? What are you going to put next to it? So I'm basically modeling one for Galaga. And so that'll be 3D printed, and then I'll have that in there too. And, for me, being able to 3D print something, then just put it up on a shelf and go, I did that. That's how it works for me.
Yeah,
like
that's
functional
cool.
prints and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll use them for a little. No, I just need to print it and go, wow, that was really cool. And then just.
So I'm just going to call it like I see it here, Chris. So we're talking about having too much stuff on our digital hard drives and whatnot, and now you're kind of extrapolating, you're pulling it. Now you've got stuff, real stuff taking up real space,
right? Because I'm pulling it out of that digital space and putting it into meat space.
It's one way to visualize your problem.
That's exactly right. Yeah, to visualize your problem. Yeah. The last thing I really want to do is I want to build a Daft Punk Thomas helmet with a full working LCD visor and everything else. So that way, when we do an in real life professional Doppelgamers podcast, I'll make sure I have the helmet with me and we could flash up stuff.
Hey, you coming out for PAX?
I'm going to see. Right now, we are in the midst of back to school. Right stuff.
The earlier conversation about summer ending.
Exactly right, and then other travel that's stacked up. Like Gamescom this year, I'm not going because I've got other travel out of the country. I would love to go back to PAX.
Because the reason I ask is I'm hosting a panel. It's it's not at PAX proper. It's at an event a couple days before called Slice.
Yeah. So okay, yes. So I may be up there for Slice, and I've already been talking to the organizers about it, and we've been talking about also doing one of the live streams that we do on Friday with Dean Takahashi, the Boss Rush ones, up there. So, Larry, we may have the opportunity to go ahead and do this.
So the funny part is, Chris, have we talked about this? Because we haven't met in real life.
No, we have not.
Right. This has all been, when we were at GDC, we were like this and whatnot. So this will be a great moment. So hopefully you can come out and enjoy the rest of the remaider of summer.
All right. We're going to have to work that out. All right. We will go ahead and take this offline, and we're going to figure out how to go ahead and get something done. So for sure. Yeah. All right. Why don't we go ahead and jump? So good catching up with you, and good end of summer stuff. Why don't we jump into some of the bigger game news?
Man.
Going on.
Can I talk? Well, I got something to tell you. Let's talk Battlefield.
Yeah.
Battlefield beta is out. I've been playing it on the console because that's where I just love playing. It's easier for me on the console. And I'm having a great time with it. And I know Vince Zampella Vince is working on this. He used to work. I used to work with Vince. He worked on the COD titles for a while, and now he's over at EA working on that. And it feels I can feel his fingerprints on it a little bit. And it feels good. So if you haven't had a chance, check it out. By the way, I'm not going to lie, Chris. I'm kind of a good helicopter pilot in Battlefield, so I'm looking forward to returning to the air. So,
yeah, so I had a chance to play around with it for a little bit. It is just, stunning. The artwork, the art direction, the immersion, just everything about it is completely top notch. And it has a little bit of the original Battlefield 1943 magic, right? In that, 42 magic, right? In that, I don't know if you felt the same way, but I remember when we first played the beta of this, a friend of mine, Tom Ham, we used to go ahead and host LAN parties here in Northern Virginia, and work in the games industry, we would get access to betas and things. So we were able to set up a beta, the beta version of it, and play with like 30 people at a hotel. the magic of jumping into a vehicle and then rolling up to your teammates and having them jump in and then heading into battle was just, it was so magical, right? Like, because you're now guiding their experience in real time. And we're all in the same room. Everyone's yelling at each other. And oh, it was fantastic, fantastic. And every version of the game and so many other games have that mechanic. But this, I don't know, this one just felt a bit more like the experience I remember when I had playing the very original, right? And I played every version, right? But this one, I don't know, there's just something about it that feels amazing, right?
Yeah,
And,
yeah, it's interesting because I'm with you. It feels like they're getting right back to one of my favorite Battlefields was Battlefield 1943, which for those of you that don't remember was an arcade title, Xbox Live arcade title released, I want to say it was on other platforms on 2009ish, and it was very interesting because this one took the essence of Battlefield and just distilled it down to a pick up and play. In other words, here are the fixed classes. You can't change your loadouts. All the loadouts were predetermined. It was everybody had the same loadout if you were an engineer, or support, or infantry. And it was maps that weren't huge, but they were small, like Wake Island and Mount Suribachi. And that was one of my favorite because it was just so easy. You didn't have to futz around with your attachments or anything else.
Right.
It was just jump in, play, and enjoy the mayhem. And it was always lovely playing those games because they were like living in a Michael Bay movie because things are exploding, the airplanes coming over, things are happening over here, the buildings coming down in front of you. It's just all out warfare chaos.
Yeah,
and I love it.
And like when you're piloting a plane and you're cruising into something, you blow something up, then you jump out as the plane is cratering into something else, and you're watching it all happen in real time. Yeah, amazing. So anyway, Battlefield 6. EA has a huge hit, I think, on their hands right now.
Yeah, I mean, I saw the average users. I think it was just on Steam alone. It was just ridiculous. So looks like they're off. I'm looking forward to playing the final retail game, but it looks like it's off to a pretty good. I mean, there's going to be people that aren't going to like it because I know some people are complaining about the icons of how you choose the classes at the bottom. They weren't very clear and things like that. But the good news is the core gameplay felt right.
Yeah, it did. Feels really, really good. So congrats to the team over there. That's amazing.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I've been spending my time with. I just haven't really, although I'm still playing I told you about this golf game that I'm playing on Apple Arcade, which I think I'm in the top 10 or 15 of the leaderboard now. So look for me over there.
All right. Yeah, we're going to talk more about those games that we're playing too. But speaking of Microsoft and Xbox, there was an announcement that just came out about them releasing something called a gaming co-pilot, which is going to be a voice-based like help during gameplay.
Yeah.
Right. So, I'm kind of, it'll be interesting to see how it works.
It's the AI driven component, if I recall correctly.
And it's all voice driven though. So you're speaking this. I mean, I think it remains to be seen, how well it works. I think that people that are not using headsets, if they are speaking in a room with everything else going on, could be hard to discern what is being spoken to. It's like having an Alexa or, a Google device, a Chrome device in your house, and you're trying to say something, and then three other people in the room just start talking, and then everybody gets mad, right? Yeah. So it'll be interesting to kind of hear how.
Oh, you wanted to hear Taylor Swift's record? Here it is. No, I didn't want that. I wanted something else. Right.
Exactly. Then that's just been fed into your recommendation loop. So now you're just going to get nothing but Taylor Swift all the way down. But it'll be interesting to see also, when I think about talking, when I'm concentrating in something, playing a game, sometimes it's hard to parse and separate those things and say exactly what I want. So anyway, it'll be interesting to see.
Well, I think we're at the point now, we've been there for a decade, a little bit more than a decade, where most people sit down and play their game, whether it's the PC, they've got a separate window open or separate monitor, or they've got their smartphone up when they're trying to figure out a level and things like that, or maybe coordinating with their friends. So, it's going to be interesting to see how that works. I think it'll work great for certain single player games, perhaps where you're trying to figure out how to get all the achievements or do some things like that. So I'm like I said, I worked a little bit on that, or was aware a little bit on that before I left, but I'm curious to see how it finally shipped.
No, agreed. And then the other piece of news that kind of eked out there was about the next Xbox. And because now we're starting to hear, grumblings about this. I'll talk about Sony in a moment here, but the idea that the next Xbox might be modular, like kind of like an upgradable PC. Now, these are all, of course, internet rumors, right? So we don't know the veracity or accuracy, validity of those rumors. But being a modular type of system is quite a diversion from what a console is.
I have no comment because I don't really, I've certainly, obviously, after working there for 23 plus years, I don't know where they are in the product. So it would be irresponsible of me to even say anything. I also learned after being on the inside and the outside, I don't really care. Like, in other words, when it ships, I'll care, but I've never got caught up in what the internet's saying. Because even like when we were launching Xbox Series X and S and all the other stuff we worked on, the internet sometimes got it close. Sometimes they were close to the pin. Sometimes they were in a different zip code. So I just decided, especially being not in the console business side of it anymore. Whatever, I'll just wait when it's available. Tell me when it's available and what it does, and I'll talk to you then. But my time is too valuable to go argue with fanboys. I'm too busy arguing with AI.
That's right. And things change, right? I mean,
of course.
And that's the reality of manufacturing some incredibly complex products, right? I mean, there was just a leak about the grumblings of what the PlayStation 6 is going to be, right? 3 times the power of PS5 and blah, 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 blah. My thing is, to your point, the power and all that stuff, that's wonderful for nerds like us that are going to look at those speed suits. But what I care about, are the games there? Are there games that I want to play? That's what I care about.
Here's the most important thing I can tell you. More Ks, more gigaflops, more memory, they kind of matter. But what I always thought in my strategy was always fun trumps fidelity.
100%.
That's the most important thing. You have to have that fun. I've played janky VR and AR games which look terrible, but they're a ton of fun.
That's exactly right.
So in a lot of, there's
Gorilla Tag, perfect example, right?
Gorilla Tag is exactly what I was thinking of. So you look at some of these games and they're like, well, how is this fun? And then you get in there like, oh, I get it now.
Yeah.
And so I've always said, look, fun has to you have to lead with fun. That's the most important.
100%. So years ago, I was giving a talk at a military conference about the younger people that are enlisting in the military and where their heads are oriented, how they think about technology and everything else.
Right.
Why we have controls, right, for nuclear subs that look like game controllers, like these sorts of things. And Larry, I will tell you, having a bunch of like generals and very senior military folks sitting in the audience, and I'm showing them the Harry Potter puppet pals to start my video, and they're like, what the hell are you talking about? And it was really to talk about the economics of content creation and the reach that the individual has now. So this is, little thing made by some kids in the Northeast that now outpaces,
doesn't matter where they are,
outpaces a professional news agency in terms of size. But the comment that I gave there all those years ago was, what people care about is the fidelity of contact over the fidelity of content. If it's fun, if it's with the people that I care about, like that trumps everything else, right? That basically, to your point, beats, the technology underneath it, right? What we care about is playing games we like with people we love, right? And that's really what
having fun
about. 100%.
Well, we play games. We play games to have fun. It's not let's just enjoy the art form that is video games.
Agreed. And when we think about the expansion of that, what I do love is we're starting to see more cross-platform gameplay. And a big one that just got announced was Helldivers 2 is going to be releasing right on Xbox on August 26th.
I when I was at Xbox, I worked a lot on we were leading the way in cross-platform because it was always, Xbox to PC because, Microsoft. I always like to remind people that I worked on Microsoft's other gaming platform, Windows.
Right.
And that really feels, because we want more players. You always want more players wherever they are. And I think I love how the industry is trying to meet players where they are and how they want to play, as opposed to, I have a walled garden. I mean, you certainly need that on a managed device like a console, which I have down there. You want to have that you want to have a nice curated experience. But at the end of the day, when you start playing, you want to match up with people and get them going and make sure they have fun. That's the most important thing.
Well, I mean, look, when we think back in the history of game consoles and online services, that existed because it was so expensive. It was so, it was this dark art to stand up these things that allowed people to go and play. And it was companies investing, millions and millions and millions of dollars into infrastructure. It wasn't easy to go ahead and bring those across those different platforms. You had different operating systems underneath, different security parameters.
Don't forget, we had to have the right IRQs, right? And the right drivers.
Oh my gosh.
So let's please, we're gonna be two old men yelling at the clouds.
No, bud. Okay, you brought it up, buddy. My first PC at home that I purchased for myself was a Tandy 1000. And back then, Radio Shack used to hard jumper their controller cards for an MFM drive. If anybody doesn't know what that is, you can go look it up. Yeah. And they hard jumpered, I think it was the cards to run at IRQ7, where everything else ran at IRQ5. And there was no documentation. So I busted out a soldering iron and I just started unsoldering and moving jumpers on the board, plugging it in, seeing if it would work. It didn't boot. Do the same thing. And I was able to go ahead and make it work. So I got a Compudyne hard drive, which was CompUSA. I made it work in my Tandy and did that. Yes.
So you were after the tape recorder. Recording on your tape.
Oh no, I was straight in on the data set recorder on the Commodore VIC-20.
That's right.
Yes. But again, that's what we had to do back then. To your point, now it isn't about what you're playing on. It's about what you are playing and who you were able to play with. And it's just awesome, right? We're at the threshold of a whole other way of thinking about what video games mean and what it means to be able to play from anywhere.
Precisely.
And I love it.
Precisely.
Yeah, absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. So speaking of playing, you mentioned some stuff that you were playing, and I paused you there. Tell me what you're playing now. Give me some more.
Really, it's been Battlefield. It's been the Battlefield. It's been that golf game that I try to play every now and then. I do need to get in and check out some more of the Game Pass games, but I just haven't had time. I mean, I'm playing with my server, arguing with AI. I mean, there's only so many hours in the day.
Well, just to argue with AI about the map of the United States. Have you seen that meme that's popped up?
Yeah,
I'm like, that's fantastic.
So that's really what I am, and I've just have my as you and I have gotten further and further in our careers, there's the time we have to play games, it minimizes more and more.
Yeah.
So it's really I just don't have a lot of time. The good news is, I work at Unity, which is a huge game engine, and a lot of games are made on it. Mm-hmm. So I can, I'm playing on it. I can check our Unity games on Nintendo Switch or PlayStation or Xbox or Steam or Apple Vision Pro or MetaQuest. I mean, the list of mobile, the list goes on and on and on. So there's no shortage of me checking out games for work.
Yeah, exactly. And for me, it's about tasting, right? So I get to taste a lot of different games, but I never really get to play through all of them. Just, I don't know, there's just so many games that I want to try, and I just don't have the time. I'm not a free time millionaire, right? So I have to be selective about the ones that I really deep dive into. But ones I've been going back to recently were Road Redemption. Have you heard of this? Right?
Yep, I have.
I loved the Road Rash series. Road Rash 2 on the Genesis. Yes, exactly. Clunk, clunk, clunk. Road Rash 2 in the Genesis was the best one on that system. And then Road Rash in the 3DO was the best one. Right. And then Road Redemption is a modern kind of remake or take on the form, which is good. Still on Donkey Kong and playing that. I'm going back to finish Indiana Jones: The Great Circle. I
finished that. Fantastic. I mean, we talked about that.
Oh my God, that game is amazing. And then I also fired back up this game called RZ, The Jewel of Faramore. So this is a game that was released by Limited Run Games. And what it was a throwback to the original Zelda games on the Philips CDi. So that's
a deep cut.
Right? So they have reimagined that art style, the really terrible animation that would go in
you should put some of these links into the show notes.
We'll make sure we put them into the show notes so you can check it out. And it's In fact, I did an episode of Rewind, which is a retro video game show that I was doing for a couple of years here on this. So I'll make sure I link to that as well. And it is hilariously bad from an art perspective and great from a gameplay perspective.
Fun matters.
Yeah, 100%.
All gets back to that.
Yeah. So I've been going back and that popped back up and I was like, yeah, let me go ahead and check it out. Oh yeah, this is actually pretty good. I need to go finish this one. So
right.
Yeah, that is a deep cut for y'all.
Yeah. So we've been busy this week, but I'm happy we're able to finally, you and I have been trying to get together and things have been crazy, our schedules, our families, our work, but we made it.
We did make it. And before we get out of here too, I always like to throw a little game history out there. So in this month of August in 1972, the Magnavox Odyssey was released, and you and I talked.
Oh, remember that big one with all the little dials?
That's right. Exactly. You had to put.
That's what Ralph Baer worked on.
That is exactly right. Exactly right. 1991, Donkey on PC DOS was released, and I was like, "Is this a really terrible Donkey Kong game?" No, it was a driving game where you had to avoid donkeys in the road.
Right. Okay.
Frogger in Japan was released in 1981 here in August. Burger Time in Japan as well in 1982.
Classic.
The SNES was released on August 23rd, 1991. Do you remember getting an SNES?
Chris, I don't want to talk about it. I'm going to save that. I've told this story in the past, but I will tell my SNES story in another show. I promise.
Perfect.
It's a SNES and Genesis story. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay. All right. So yes. And
there's a tease for you.
Okay. Very good. And then GoldenEye was released in August of 1997.
My friends at Rare did that was their, I mean, they did a great job over there.
Yeah.
I remember going over to Rare and I just sitting and talking with some of the original team members that were still at Rare. And I was like, I kind of was fanboying out.
Yeah.
Because how could you not? So it was that was such a great title.
Well, before we get out of here too, since you brought up and you just kind of piqued this memory in the back of my brain, what was the first meeting you remember having when you started focusing in the games industry where you did go in and were like, before we start, I'm freaking out right now. Right? I need to get
that
it out
is
of my
a great
system.
question. Probably in my early days at Microsoft, when I was the editor-in-chief of MSN Music, which was one of the very first streaming sites. And in the next hallway were this group of engineers working on stuff. So we had, there's a group of like, if you've been in an office, there's always like center conference rooms. And the conference rooms, we'd always wait outside the conference room while the meeting before us got out, and then we'd go in. And I remember the meeting before all the meetings I'd go in, they're like, why do they have a PC? What are they playing? What's going on? They have a controller. And it was the Xbox team who was working on the prototypes before, obviously the announcement was released.
Right.
So I kind of remember going into some of the meetings early and just kind of saying, what do you guys do? And they couldn't tell us.
Sure.
Before I joined the Xbox team. But one of the earliest meetings I ever had was with somebody who you and I both know is Jay Allard.
Yeah.
And I remember talking to Jay, and he was one of the people that interviewed me when I was brought over to Xbox. And that's where I was like, I was actually fanboying out because Jay, who I still talk to this day, I had dinner with him a few weeks ago. I was like, wow, this is the guy that wrote the Bill Gates memo. Look it up.
Yeah.
About how the internet's going to be big and they need to add TCP/IP to the Windows.
That's why he changed his name to J.
Right, exactly.
The letter J, not J-A-Y.
And one of the funny things about Jay is he doesn't use capitals. So when you get messages from him, it's all lowercase.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I remember just being in a meeting with Jay and I was like, wow, this is, and to this day, I still fanboy out. I'm like, wow, Jay is, he's a good friend of mine. I talk to him all the time. I've been out to dinner and lunch and whatnot. So that he has been I'm proud to say he's a friend of mine, but he's also somebody who I'm a big fan of as well. So that goes, and I know it's kind of in the structure of games. It's not like a specific game.
No. It's about the people. No, it's about the people. Yeah, my first meeting after I convinced Sun Microsystems to let me focus on games, convinced the CEO, Scott McNeely, that we needed to go ahead and do this. They brought me over and I'm going out and I'm getting the very first Java powered logo on a product, right? It's the first.
What was that thing, by the way?
It was Vampire the Masquerade.
Okay, because I was like, no. I'm saying, what was that? I remember that little carrot.
It was
that
called
mascot.
Java Powered. So it had the little Java cup and it had a little background. It said Java Powered on it.
Right.
And that was the very first consumer product to ever carry the Java Powered logo was Vampire the Masquerade. And I got it by agreeing to pay $5,000 towards half of the opening night party that Activision was going to be doing. And then they let me put the logo on
like strapped for cash, were they?
Right, like 50,000 units or something like that. But I remember going to meet Rob Huebner over at Nihilistic Software, and he had worked on all these Lucas Arts games. And I just remember going, before we even get started, I'm a huge fan of all of your stuff. Like, oh my God, can we spend a few minutes doing it? Of course, you lose any negotiation. Right. Straight out at the bat. But when you're that excitable, you kind of learn those lessons. And Rob was such a wonderful, wonderful guy and still is. And just super fond memories going all the way back then.
Oh, I could talk about the week I spent in St. Petersburg, Russia with Alexei Padov, the inventor of Tetris, which was amazing. Or the time I spent with Nolan Bushnell, the inventor of the Atari, inventor of Atari down at SD. So, the list just goes on, and it's embarrassing how much access I've had and the opportunities I've had. But I will tell you this one thing, Chris. Not for one moment did I take it for granted.
Nope.
And I still don't. I love I'm one of you. I'm one of you gamers who happen to be the right place at the right time. And I love what I do. I still love what I do, and I love this industry. So, sorry.
I'm exactly the same way. It has been a privilege to work in service of this art form of incredible artists.
And you, the fans.
And the fans, absolutely. Because like Larry said, we are those fans. And if you want to hear more of those stories, some of the stories that we can surface from our past, because as Larry mentioned, we've been in the room with the people that have founded this industry and many who still work in the industry to this day, all the way forward, right? It has been an absolute privilege to do so. If you want to hear more of the stories, let us know in the comments. Let us know.
I think you have to like and subscribe and hit a bell and jump up and down.
We are not doing that. Oh no. Go check it out over here. Oh my goodness. And none of that.
You're not going to see anybody's misfigured face with weird white teeth like some of the top YouTubers. I'll just leave it at that.
Right. Exactly right. There's a science to that, but we're here for the fun. Science for authenticity.
Again, fun over fidelity. 100%, that's what we're all about. 100%. Just to bring it back.
Well, that's going to go ahead and wrap up this episode of Professional Doppelgamers. Once again, Larry, thank you so much.
Thank you
for your time today, buddy. It's good to see you, and we'll be back next week.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Right, take care. Bye-bye.